Welcome, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 16th, and this is the 56th episode of the Daily Fantasy 5, where we bring you the 5 things you need to know every day in the world of fantasy sports. As always, we are brought to you by mathradio.com, where you can pick up a math course, for your child ages 7 through 17. You can help them get better grades, help them do better on tests, and even help them get into college. Once again, that is mathradio.com. Go there to pick up an online math course for as little as $9.99 for a lifetime membership. There are no monthly fees, no yearly fees, nothing else to buy. Spend $9.99 one time and help your child do better in school. Go to mathradio.com. All right, so we have stories from the NFL, from Major League Baseball, and the NBA playoffs. Let's start off in the NFL, where Russell Wilson became the highest paid player in all of football. So he signed an extension last night, 4 years, $140 million. Yowza. That is $35 million per season for all of you non-math majors out there. So his signing bonus is $65 million. There is a no trade clause. However, I do not know what the total guaranteed money is for this contract. Either way, it seems like he'll be tied to Seattle for the next 4 years. I had Russell Wilson placed 10th on my quarterback top 20 list. I don't think this news changes anything really. I think if you were traded to another more heavily passing team, it might have helped a little bit for his long-term status. I don't know. I guess his value might decrease a little bit, but for next year, I'd say it's about the same. When I ranked him 10th in my lineup, I always considered him playing for Seattle. I mean, despite how much they run, they still do some play action, and he typically will run in for a couple touchdowns, and he'll still get you your fantasy points. So that is the news in the NFL. All right, we got 2 stories in baseball. First, out of Milwaukee, where Christian Yelich is simply killing the Cardinals. He hit 3 home runs yesterday. In 2016, he hit 21, 2017, 18. Last year, his breakout season, he hit 36 home runs, and he even stole 22 bases. This year, he's hitting 354 with 8 home runs, 22 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases. So he's on pace to put up even better numbers than he had last year. He is pretty amazing right now. The reason I bring him up, other than his 3 home run night, is I think he's a player to target in a keeper dynasty type league. If you're trying to win this season, you really have a chance. I think this outfielder could bring you the championship you're looking for, because he's, first of all, only 27. So this is like the prime of his career, from 27 to 31. So you're getting the next 4 years of his prime. And who knows if your dynasty league is going to go 5 years or 10 years or however long. So if you can give up a prospect or two and pick up Christian Yelich, I think he's going to bring you great returns over the next 4 years. I think he's one of the breakout stars this year in all of baseball. So I would be targeting Christian Yelich if it's at all possible. Okay. The next story is a guy who's been a star for a long time. Clayton Kershaw was back on the mound for the Dodgers. And despite giving up a home run to Yasiel Puig, he pitched 7 innings, gave up only 5 hits, no walks, and had 6 strikeouts with only 2 earned runs. Not bad for Clayton's first time out on the mound. I think you should have no problem starting him going forward. You should rest assured that you're going to get great production out of Clayton Kershaw. Okay, next up, we're moving on to the NBA, and I have 2 players for you tonight who you should be starting in daily fantasy sports. Let's start with Gary Harris from the Denver Nuggets. So, in Game 1, he played 36 minutes. He went 7 for 12 and had 28 fantasy points. Not too shabby. He's been over 20 fantasy points in his last 4 games, and tonight he's only going for 4,600. So, even if you only get 20 points, it's still above a 5. It's like a 4.5 times multiplier. But I expect Gary to be upper 20s, maybe even get into the 30s tonight. Denver should come out smoking, ready to go, and I expect them to stomp San Antonio. I didn't talk about it yesterday. I forgot. You want to be using the zigzag strategy if you are kind of playing fantasy, or especially if you're betting on these games. If you saw last night, the team that lost the first game came back and either won or covered in the next 2 games, as the 76ers won and the Clippers won. So the Clippers pulled the upset late last night. I mean, they had to overcome a 31-point deficit to do it, but I like this zigzag strategy. So whoever won the previous game, bet against them on the next game, because the public is typically betting the favorites whatever they just saw. So you want to fade the public and go in the opposite direction. So that would mean tonight, who would we be betting on? You'd be betting on the Denver Nuggets, They are a -7. I still like that. You'd be betting on the Toronto Raptors. They are -10. Yikes. That's a lot of points to give in an NBA playoff game, but, I would go for it. And you'd be betting on the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are a +2. So those would be the trends that you should be betting on tonight. All right. Moving on to our last fantasy player of the night. I'm going with Dennis Schroeder of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So he's going for only $5,200. I know he wasn't great last game, but in 36 minutes, he shot 5 of 17, had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and still got 24.5 fantasy points. Not terrible, almost a 5-point multiplier. Now, in the last game of the season, he also got 36 minutes, and he put up 21 shots, right? So the man is getting up his shots with the injury to George. So you've got to count on Schroeder. If he doesn't play better, they're not going to win. They need him to put up 20 shots a game, and they need him to shoot a lot better. So I would be counting on Dennis Schroeder to get lots of minutes and to put up lots of shots tonight. 5,200, I expect him to go over 30 points. So that's going to be about a 6-point multiplier for you right there. So those are the two guys I would be starting tonight in daily fantasy. And again, I'd be betting on the Denver Nuggets, the Toronto Raptors, and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that's all I have for you today. Be sure to visit www.mathradio.com. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Please give us a 5-star rating and write a review for us over on iTunes. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.